Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the message of the Bhagavat. We are here. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's our save a weekend at the farm. Geared up for that. Everybody's got their gloves and their choppers and their compost. And then bonfires. Good morning, Kastuba. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good? You doing good?
Yeah.
Gotta come up here and enjoy some spring with us.
I'll be up there soon.
It's quite lovely. It's getting lovelier. All the kids jumped in the pond yesterday. It was nice.
Wonderful.
I was ready. Okay. What's going on? Mara, got something for us?
Happy birthday to David Houseworth, who's
Oh,
one of our
David.
regular Zoomers.
David Houseworth, Harry Bowl from Connecticut. I love this guy.
We're back to recovery group meetings at noon and 1:30 Eastern time, and there's still some spaces available for our Wisdom of the Sages retreat with Kastuba over Memorial Day weekend here at Super Soul Farm.
All right. Looking forward to that. Springtime at Super Souls Farm. Come join us. That is all. That's all we're going to announce today.
Okay.
Should we
Keep
go
it
right
quick.
to our nugget? Unless you have some secret announcements.
I've got nothing.
You got nothing.
I'm in Brooklyn this weekend, Prema Yoga, if you want to.
Ooh.
You're doing I think Friday night and Sunday morning. So
Come
I
on
guess you just
down,
go to
people.
Prema Yoga, Brooklyn, look that up, and if you're interested.
All right. All right. Well, here's the nugget, and this is a great nugget, actually. It's
You like it?
amazing how some of these are so Krishna conscious, you know. And it's from Miles Davis, who I really don't know much about. Do you?
Well, I know he's a jazz musician. He plays trumpet. He's considered one of the primary, figures in modern jazz.
Sometimes I think like real music. When I say real musicians, not like myself, but like real musicians. I feel like there's some type of higher beings. I feel. I don't necessarily say they're like there's some type of higher beings that have come to our planet to bless us with some sounds. There's planets of musicians. Do you know that? You must know that. Gandharvas are planets of musicians.
Everybody's a musician there? Gandharva Loka?
I think so. I think that's part of their features. Just like part of being born on Earth is what? We argue a lot, or we have big egos, or we fumble around. Part of their qualities is that they're expert at music.
Okay.
So anyway, Miles Davis, who knows what he was, but that's my guess. Some type of like higher being, and they have some. I think feel like musicians, because they're artists, they have some special insight, and they can sort of like I don't. I think.
Okay, you should write an essay on this.
Here's what I
Raghunath's
think
theory
about
of music.
musicians. My speculative ideas about music. I feel like it's channeled from their planet or something. It
Okay.
comes through them. Anyway, here's what Miles Davis said. He says, sometimes you have to play a long time to be able to play like yourself. Sometimes you got to play a long time to be able to play like yourself. Like you got to be able to, if you're a trumpet player or a guitar player or a drummer, you got to sort of like to find your own. First, you have to become great at it to find your ownness in it. Like art is the same way. Painting, you can follow all the instructions. Martial arts is the same way. You got to you follow the perpendiculars and parallels. This is how you move you got to get classically trained, and then creativity comes out and you start to find yourself. So, want to do the bhakti version of that now?
Well, I think that's our point, is that we always kind of connected. Yeah, I see a connection there for sure.
Yeah.
There's, we were speaking yesterday, our theme was on Leela and on Rasa, right? That there's this, that Krishna is involved in play, and that there's somehow we're playing another game. It's like, when you get to these big existential questions and thinking, I think the average mind is not willing to really entertain really far out ideas. Although I don't think there's any rationale to that. I think, as a matter of fact, I think if you're going to try to explain it all, it's going to be something very far out. And,
right.
Either way, whether you're believing in a Big Bang, that's definitely a very far out idea.
It's very far out.
Or if you're believing in some kind of creation. But our this theology, the Bhakti theology, is saying that there is this all-powerful, omnipotent being. And then it goes into the heart of that being. What is it that interests that being, or what is it that turns that being on? What are they all about? And what we hear from these sages, what we hear through Bhagavatam, it really becomes clarified in Bhagavatam. Like it really gets into it, right? You're not going to find this kind of detail in Vyasa's earlier works. But he really begins to lay it out in the Bhagavatam that you have this person. Krishna's called Rasbihari, like the relisher of rasa, like that's who he is, or Rasa Raja, like the king of rasa. Like it's what he's all about, is through this play, tasting these flavors of love. And if you're all powerful, but you want to have some adventure, what is adventure if you're all powerful? It's like, it's nothing, right? It's like when to go to another Seinfeld thing. You remember that one where like Kramer, he's like studying martial arts and really getting into it, and the other people, like Jerry and them, are like, "Oh, you're into martial arts now?" But then you see like he's just doing it against little kids, and he's just like throwing them all over the place. So it's like, what's the point? There's really no taste in that. There's no adventure in that. There's nothing to overcome. There's no excitement. So Krishna, although he's all powerful, part of what shows that he's all powerful is that he can become his own energy. He can become subject to his own energy. In other words, he can voluntarily get lost in the play so that he can experience the depths of rasa that he wishes to experience. Now we got on our YouTube channel, we got a comment from someone. I couldn't quite make out their name, but they shared a little something from it's Srila Prabhupada's commentary to the third verse of the Bhagavatam, which speaks of rasa. Right? It says it's glorifying Bhagavatam, that this oh expert and thoughtful people relish Srimad Bhagavatam. This is how Bhagavatam opens up, right? It's like we're getting to the most esoteric and beautiful part of all of Vyasadev's work. So expert and thoughtful people, that's who this is for, right? People that are thoughtful enough not to be thinking, I want the things of this world. What God can I worship to get it? No, no, no. For expert and thoughtful people, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of the Vedic literatures, right? This is where it's all been building up to.
Hmm.
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami, the most, widely accepted, everybody accepted he was just completely otherworldly, completely transcendental. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was always relishable for all, including liberated souls. And so in the commentary to this, Srila Prabhupada speaks of rasa. And he says, the rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual living being and the spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange, or rasa, is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Shruti mantras, in the very ancient texts like the Upanishads, in the Vedas, the Vedic hymns, as the fountainhead of all rasas. Right? Actually, that's in the Upanishads, I think. What is it? Rasovai Saham, I think it is, that he is the fountainhead of all rasas. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. And this is all going to relate to what Miles Davis said, right? Because this is talking about the true self that's underneath it all, right? When you get to that true self, you can exchange rasa, you can exchange love in a variety of ways. He goes on, these Shruti mantras indicate that every living being, every one of us, has its constitutional position, its true self, its svarupa, which is endowed with a particular type of rasa, a particular flavor, a particular type of love, to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition only, this primary rasa is experienced in full. In the material existence, the rasa is experienced in a perverted form, right? In a warped form, which is temporary. And thus the rasas of the material world are exhibited in the material form of Rodra, anger, and so on. So he's saying that we have a self, and when we're restored to the true self, underneath it all, underneath the mind and all its programming and all its ideas of ego, false ego, and all of our concerns and our material desires and material resentments and all of that, underneath is the true self. And that true self just plays with the Supreme Self in exchanges rasa, flavors of love. But for some reason, we become confused. We're trying to taste rasa outside of that relationship, and we're tasting it in a warped form. But like Miles Davis is saying, if you keep playing along the right path, you can eventually play like yourself. And the path of bhakti is kind of like laying out just like a musician will have different scales that they practice and so on, Like here's a scale. The worshiping of the deity, right? The aspects of the ritual of archana, of deity worship. Like it's a meditation in which you play a role, and you play that role in the beginning, you play it in a sense mechanically. Right? You follow the rules and you follow the regulations and you do it as you've been taught. But if you do it with your mind in the right place, then you reach a point where you're no longer just following rules, but you're playing for yourself. It's like it's your own true emotions that are arising. And we might have to play a long time until we're able to play like ourselves. But if the more that we understand it, the more that we're focused on it, the more it becomes, effective.
Sure. I think it's safe to say that the process of self-realization of Atma Jnana is a chance to find yourself underneath the ego self that we've been living through and playing out and pretending. If we see someone who's like immersed in ego, it's awkward. It's not only awkward, it's repulsive almost. And then when we see people who are very authentic and very grounded and very sincere, it's something like that touches our heart. And the spiritual path is always walking this line of like, can I like move head but not be overwhelmed by ego for me moving ahead. And when you find devotees, I think that's one of the most attractive thing about people on a spiritual path for me is meeting people who didn't seem like they were motivated by ego, where everybody else was trying to sort of like impress me with something or sell me their thing or sell me themselves or sell me their whatever. And when you see somebody acting from an authentic place, it's quite attractive. And so the idea of you get to finally be yourself is an attractive thing. And consumer culture has all different ways of selling us our authentic self. We're going to sell you, this is what you're like. You're an athletic person, or you're a down to earth person, or you're a sporty person, or you're a whatever, a crazy off the wall freaky person. But there actually is, oftentimes that is just also another projection of the ego self. And I can honestly say that I feel like I'm becoming more authentic in this process. And in that process, you not only relate to God in a more authentic way, because you can't approach God with the ego. He won't tolerate it. You can't get close. There's a barrier. There's like an invisible force field to get to God. God will, the process itself starts to shatter the ego. And it's not like, it's because the ego is not solid. It's very delicate, and it will break away because we're not of this world. We're spiritual beings. So, but not only do we relate with God in a more authentic way, we relate with humans in a special way as well. And we can view that by relating to people who have been on this path for a very long time, and it inspires us. And it could be, for me, maybe one of the most motivating factors on my spiritual path is to meet people who have been on this path for a long time and see how they're moving in this world without ego and genuine, like a vulnerability at heart. And it's quite attractive.
You know what you just said, Prabhupada also speaks to that in this commentary. He says, therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, when you really study the science of bhakti as it's laid out in Bhagavatam, as it's detailed in books that draw from the Bhagavatam or explain the Bhagavatam, like the Nectar Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the more that you study it, the more that's revealed to you. That's even practical in this world. Like he says, therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are the basic principles of activities, right? We're all motivated in a certain way. One who does that can understand the false representations of the original rasas, which are reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasas in the spiritual form, right?
You know,
I want to boil it all down and get to the real thing.
And what you're describing is things yet to come with your authenticity. It's almost like going to Airbnb and looking up a house and like, oh, they've got a hot tub. Oh, look, it's right near the downtown city center. Oh, look what else is. There's all these photos to try to attract you and lure you in.
Yeah.
So we get it. We get that ego cripples us. Ego, breaks us. Ego doesn't give us what we want, and which is a big level to get to in the first place. Most people are not at that level. Some people are trying to think, how can I endorse my ego? How can I look better? Look sharper. We live in our ego. We're thinking of ways to actually blow up our ego to impress the world. And once you get to the point where you're like, I'm over that game, then what you're describing is like a secret, a trap door that you never knew was like under the rug. And it's like a whole nother chamber of, not only can you be authentic, but you have these very, very interesting relationships. Not only can you approach God, but you have these very interesting, nuanced relationships with God. It's almost like a trailer before a movie, or this is just a little taste of what is yet to come. Which I don't even get, but I can philosophically understand it. But I can understand the basics of like, okay, I'm going to shed that ego. I'm going to let off that layer. I'm going to stop playing that role. Stop, wearing that costume. Hmm?
Yeah, it's why are these Leelas there in Bhagavatam? Why are we hearing about these pastimes? Why is it so much focus on it? Why is it the culmination of all the teachings of yoga? And this is, I'll read another quote. This is from Graham M. Schweig, also known as Garuda Das, professor, right?
Graham Schweig.
Yeah, in his book Dance of Divine Love, which is a really brilliant explanation of the Rasa Leela, Krishna, which is considered the essence of all the Leelas, right? Krishna's dance with the gopis.
Have we had him on the show?
No. So he writes, the special nature of Leela is both playful and didactic. All right, it's both there to enjoy as well as to teach. Right? He says, although Leela is for the pleasure of Krishna and his devotees, and everything that occurs in Leela contributes to the delight and celebration of supreme love and beauty, there are aspects that also instruct those who have yet to enter into its esoteric domain. So we're saying that through practice, one can enter into that esoteric domain and actually be themselves and exchange rasa and experience all that we're searching for in relationships and through things here, you would find in this divine connection. And he's saying that the Leela is, why does Krishna perform this? He performs them for his own pleasure and to give pleasure to those that he loves. But they're placed in Bhagavatam for all of us to read because they're also didactic. They're also teaching. They teach lessons on a practical level.
What does didactic mean?
It means it teaches.
It teaches?
Yeah. I've been trying to.
I was like, I'm just going to nod. I don't want to sound dumb here.
and so they're teaching. And they're teaching, again, they'll teach practical knowledge, but also they're teaching us to understand what it means, how one enters into that esoteric domain, how one finds the true self. For instance, in this Leela with Lord Nrisimhadeva and Prahlad, Nrisimhadeva has appeared. There have been ghastly aspects to this Leela. There's been, wonder in his form and so on. The anger, transcendental anger has been displayed. Prahlad's, sweet, mood of servitude towards Nrisimhadeva, towards Lord Vishnu is going to come out. And at the end, Vishnu's mood is going to change, right? Once he's killed all the demons and played that part of the Leela out, then he's got nothing but softness, right? The paw for Prahlad, and then he's going to say, "I want to, out of love, I want to give you something, right? I'm capable of giving you anything. Tell me what you want." It's love in his heart for his devotee is just pouring out, and he has a genuine desire. This is what he wants to taste through Rasa, right? He wants to have that feeling of, I love you so much, what can I give you? And here's the part of the didactic part of it, is that Prahlad will say, I don't want anything from you. Well, my love for you is not some kind of business. I don't do what I do for you to get something from you. I do it out of love.
We're so clueless about love, aren't we?
Well, that's there's
so
the clue,
clueless.
right? That's the didactic part, and that's the essence. Like, why? What is it that warps this Leela in this world? What is it that's pure about Leela play in the spiritual realm, and what is it that warps it in the material realm? And the element that warps it is selfishness, right? That rather than thinking of the other, we think about ourselves first. And that warps the whole play. So we're kind of playing out these love affairs and so on, but to the degree that there's selflessness, to that degree they resemble the Leelas of the spiritual world, and to the degree that there's selfishness, to that degree they're warped.
And that's why we hear the closest thing to loving God is the mother's love for a child. You hear that a lot. So okay, we understand what lust is, and sometimes you say, "Oh, I love her," And we think like that's the most base thing you could say. And that's the most base interpretation of the word love. And there's so many like variant degrees of love. Maybe the lowest. You could think of some really low versions how to use that word, and then very refined versions. So imagine the mother's pure love for the child, for the innocent, vulnerable child. Imagine going deeper and deeper into that. It just gets more and more refined.
Yeah. Yeah, and so they're didactic in the sense that they teach us these lessons, but also they're objects of meditation, right? It's like this is also what the sages would meditate. They meditate on the bhakti yogis.
Mm.
They meditate on nama, Krishna's name, guna, Krishna's qualities, Leela, Krishna's pastimes, and rupa, Krishna's form. So the Leela, especially, becomes a focus of meditation. We read them, we meditate on them, we absorb them we let the mind become absorbed in them. And this actually becomes the process of purifying the mind,
It's sort of crazy, isn't it?
Contemplation on Leela.
We're practicing to fall in love out of this world.
For real. Yeah, in one sense, it's
Isn't
simple
it
as that.
interesting? It's like I'm trying to fall in love out of this world with nothing of this world.
And then you could turn it back and actually love everything in this world from the proper perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
From the real perspective,
Without
from the
any,
perspective
like,
of reality.
I love you because I want this from you.
Yeah. Right. We're not capable of loving in this world. It's a warped reflection of love.
I'm going to love outside of this world. Interesting concept. I will subscribe to your newsletter, Mr. Kostuba.
Yes. Okay. So let us continue this Leela. A lot more
Rayanam
healing to be done.
namaskrityanam chaivanarotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatojayam adirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati tamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. In loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes. With the torchlight of knowledge, I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, Text 32. It's Lord Nrisimhadeva time.
It's getting real.
The hair on Nrisimhadeva's head shook the clouds and scattered them here and there. So he's just burst out of a pillar. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and the oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. Do you think these are analogies, metaphors, exaggerations?
No, I don't.
You think the African elephants were crying too?
Apparently.
Okay. Did this happen on Earth?
That's one thing we really got to get to the answer to that, right? Because we hear that that Hiranyakashipu has taken over Indra's palace, and in this up in the higher planets. But then we also there are all these dams, in India where they say that this is where Lord Nrisimhadeva did that, did this.
Could have been. He could have came in different times and different places too.
Yeah, but we should really look into that, though.
Yeah. Airplanes were thrown into outer space. Okay, there were airplanes then, people, just FYI.
Prabhupada writes a whole commentary on it, that actually they were far more advanced in this time. It's thousands and thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
They didn't. Their airplanes weren't these noisy, horrible, tubes.
They didn't need air traffic controllers. Okay, bring them in. They got it. They knew when to land. Airplanes were thrown into Are there always fights on planes now, or did we just not have cameras on our phones? Were there always fights on planes? It seems like every day there's another fight on a plane.
That's a squirrel.
What do you
Hades.
follow that you see all these
I've
fights
never
on planes?
I've
'Cause
never
I don't
once
see
seen
any.
a fight on an airplane, Raghunath. I wouldn't worry about
You
it.
haven't seen that. Am I alone in this? There's
No,
always
you're
a fight.
watching videos, fine, but I'm saying it's not like it's happening all the time.
People, come on.
It's happening all
Back
the
me up
time on
the
my
message
YouTube
board,
thread.
please. It's everyone's fighting on planes. I've never seen a fight on a plane. And it seems like they're happening every day now, or maybe just people didn't have.
Change your algorithm, Raghunath.
All right. Airplanes were thrown into outer space and the upper planetary systems by the hair of Lord Nrisimhadeva's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position,
Oh,
and all the hills and the mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. That makes sense. Imagine the effulgence if God incarnated it right in front of you. He's pure effulgence.
Hmm.
It must be like blinding.
Yeah, well, there's that prayer in Ishopanishad, right? Please remove your glaring effulgence so I can see your personal feature, see your face.
Like if God was here right now, you couldn't even see him. It'd be too blinding. You'd have to, right? Manifesting a effulgence. Oh man, I had a dream of that. Anyway, I'm gonna save it. But I had a dream of being in front of a blinding effulgence. Yeah, and you know what?
Were you sleeping in one of those tanning things?
I fell asleep in the tanning booth. No, it was actually a blinding effulgence, and I was like, I cannot see a thing. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. I've got to start recording my dreams because I'm having some good dreams lately.
It's an interesting practice. Yogi Churu had me kind of mapping down my dream. You know, as soon as you wake up, you have to write it down.
Dream mapping. Yeah.
I don't know if they call it mapping, but yeah, you write it down as soon as you wake up.
Okay. Manifesting a full effulgence and fearsome countenance, Lord Nrisimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one would come forward to serve the Lord directly.
Okay.
So wait, he already killed Hiranyakashipu?
Yes.
Refresh me. Okay. So
Yeah,
now he's just sitting down.
But the anger, has yet to fully recede, right? So we're going to hear all the Devas are sitting there like, you just can't approach him. He's just too hot.
Sure. Hiranyakashipu had been exactly like a fever of meningitis. What's meningitis? God. In the head of the three worlds.
Oh, man.
Thus, when the wives of the demigods in the heavenly planets saw that the great demon had been killed by the personal hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, their faces blossomed in great joy.
Oh, imagine seeing that face. Just
the wives of the demigods again and again showered flowers from the heaven upon Lord Nrisimhadeva like rain. You know what? I gotta find this video for you. It's one of these guys. Ever see these guys either in MMA or boxing? They're just like showing off and dancing and
on airplanes.
No, just like in a real they're like about to get in a fight and they
get all cocky like a rooster,
super cocky. Like they'll do things and put their hands behind their back, or and then there's this one guy who does all this
kicked
stuff,
right in the head,
kicked right in the head,
that,
and he goes down. He drops hard. It was like this is it. This is Lord Nrisimhadeva, and you just cheer. You just cheer when
everybody loves to see the tyrant, cocky person go down.
And Hiranyakashipu was he was dancing, he was shuffling, he was putting his I'm not scared of anybody. Boom. And it's over. And everybody sort of rejoices. And that's sort of the sweetness of the whole thing. The wives of the demigods showered flowers.
Beautiful scene.
Beautiful. At that time, the airplanes of the demigods, would love to see them. I wonder if they mean the carriers, like Lord Brahma rode a swan. Is that his airplane? Or does he have another airplane with a little seat for his swan?
Well, there's all kind of devas. I don't know if they all have a personal, like animal-like carrier, but they have these flower airplanes, like these kind of.
I know, but does their swan go in their flower airplane with them, or is
I
I'm
don't
not
think
quite
if you
sure.
got your swan, you don't need a flower airplane.
Maybe.
You think it's like a cruise? What do they call those? Like one of those big ships that have airplanes on them. What do they call those again? Aircraft carriers.
Aircraft carrier. Yeah. There's a little seat for your swan or your
Land the swan on the aircraft carrier.
Ganesh and his little mouse. The demigods began beating drums, kettle drums. They always have these drums too. Where are they getting these drums from? They keep them in their airplanes?
I think if we can have drums, they can too.
I know, but I don't carry a drum with me all the time. They're always busting out a drum. Maybe they bring them to the event. They think
I think so.
happening.
I think they bring it to the event. Right?
Okay. The demigods began beating drums and kettle drums, and upon hearing them, the angelic women began to dance. Now, we've seen Indian dancing is very beautiful, classical dance. Imagine these demigoddesses doing it.
Oh.
While the chiefs of the Gandharvas, there's the planet of the singers, they sang very sweetly. I would love to. I've heard some good singers in my time. I could imagine how these Gandharvas must sing.
Again, in our warped world of drama,
Mm-hmm.
we like in our films, they always have music to accompany, to try to create, to heighten the experience.
Sure, it does heighten it. Even if I just took a clip of you speaking right now, but I put something like do 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 do. You know what I mean? Ever do that? You listen to a clip, but there's music behind it, and whoever's doing it wants you to start to think like a certain way.
Yeah, if it went to do, then whatever I'm saying is gonna sound really stupid.
Yes.
But if you put other music behind it, then it's gonna sound really more profound. So so now that the event that everybody had been waiting for so long, the tyrant, was finally dealt with, and hopefully the Devas aren't just thinking of their own thing, but they're also thinking like Prahlad was saved, right? The beautiful Prahlad was saved. That everybody's happiness is just sprung forth, and effortlessly, spontaneously, the universe's greatest musicians and dancers just broke into song and dance, and it heightened the whole experience. Can you imagine what that music must sound like? Can you imagine? Even today, I say, my God, the music, sorry to sound like an old guy, but the music today, if you go to the top 10, like for the top 10 now, you go to like Spotify, like what are the top 10 songs right now?
I can't even tell you.
Oh God, they're so bad. I mean, it's just like, practically, like objectively, just if you analyze what is music.
Objectively, in my opinion.
No, but objectively, it's like primitive and almost like thoughtless how so much of it is put together. And
well, I will say
and I say even going back to the 70s and the 60s where you had so many great creative musicians and their music was very popular. But imagine what this music was like. We can't imagine,
Well, sometimes you have kirtans that are so like slow and building, and it sort of goes on forever, and you're just sort of sitting there, and it's sort of churning, and then you hit this next level, the part 2 change, and all of a sudden people they spontaneously just get up. They go from like this sitting meditative position where they just like jump with joy. That is what's going on here.
Okay.
By the way, we have Madhava coming up the Thursday before. I haven't even announced it yet, except to our local community. The Thursday before Rath Yatra, we're going to have a kirtan with Madhava.
All right.
Come up for that, buddy.
I may, but Radha Swami may be in town at that time.
Maybe Radha Swami will come.
It's possible.
Linda Redelman, you should come too. Come on. All you Zoomies should come. Okay, keep going on. I left that secret out, but I'm about to announce it. Madhava.
Okay. Save the date.
Space. Save the date. Lord Brahma.
My dear King Yudhishthira.
My dear King Yudhishthira. The demigods then approached the Lord. They were headed by Lord Brahma, King Indra, and Lord Shiva. So these are the big demigods.
A-list.
Right. This is the A-list demigods, and included great saintly persons and the residents of Pitriloka. That's like a planet of forefathers. Siddhaloka, the planet of perfected beings, in Vidyadhara lokas. That's
Planets of the snakes.
the Vidyadhara is a snake planet.
People,
They're
snake
the
people
snake
came.
planet. You know what's interesting?
Oh
All
no,
these
no, it said and the planets of the snakes.
Oh, and the planet Vidyadhara means those who hold Vidya.
Knowledge
Interesting.
and learning.
And the planet of the snakes. So some of you guys have, been on into conspiracy theories and things of like, oh, these snake-like reptilian people. Ever hear people talk like that?
Lizards.
It's here. It's right here in the Bhagavatam. We're not making this up. You want to call conspiracy theory or not? It's in the Bhagavatam. There's planets of snakes, and they're not just like a garter snake or a sidewinder. These are like people-y snakes. It's like Hanuman's not like a chimpanzee. Hanuman's like a people-y monkey.
Imagine if you were working the door, Raghunath, and like first the residents of Pitriloka came. Oh, the great forefathers.
Well, it's like that Star Wars bar scene.
then come the Siddhalokas. Oh my God, these incredible yogis with mystic powers have arrived. Then come the residents of Vidyadhara Loka. Oh, these greatly learned sages have arrived. Please welcome. Then the snake people showed up.
And they're going to wreck the place. Well, it's one of the things that we like to keep this philosophical and sophisticated, but then it drops right back into snake people.
Okay.
It makes you sort of have to expand your intelligence.
I mean,
There's some people who are just really into lizard people and shape shifting and things like that. Ever meet guys like that?
Yes, Raghunath, I have.
Oh, okay. So there's people into that, and then there's people like intellectual things and controlling your senses in your mind and blah, 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 right? And now this is the merging of these two worlds.
It's interesting because like if you listen, in the past we've been recommending these lectures. If you Google on YouTube, Radhika Raman.
Snake people.
Not snake people. What is it? ISKCON Silicon Valley, ISV. He's got different series of courses that he's taught there.
Ooh.
And one of them is the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Ooh.
And you listen to it, right?
Yeah, that's what I listen to. Yes.
Yeah. And so in that one, like the first lesson, which goes on for a couple hours, is he's describing how unique the Bhagavatam is. Like, in other words, it's not just that we say this great text amongst, it's there. For instance, there's 18 Puranas, right?
18 Puranas. Bhagavatam is one of the Puranas.
Bhagavatam is one of the Puranas, but it's in a completely different category, even if it's not even a question of faith, but just like practically, like the sophistication of the Sanskrit used into it is like way beyond, right? The level of intricacy in the meters that are used, the depth of the poetic ornaments and the poetic qualities of it are on a completely different level. The way that the philosophical arguments are developed, he's saying the other ones are kind of like a collection of lore. They feel more like that, like folk stories. And when you get to the Bhagavatam, you get to what even scholars who aren't part of this tradition, they say is like, some call it the greatest poetry of all time. It's just on this super high artistic level. And so, it's an artistic level that in order to describe Krishna's Leela, you need something worthy of it, So, and so it's describing Krishna's Leela in this very beautiful, sophisticated poetry. It's describing all these great sages, and it's also describing the snake people.
Snake people.
It lends credibility to the idea.
Yeah, isn't it amazing that these ancient books today we're following them? These ancient books today we're following them. And people say, "Well, yeah, but the bar is set so high. It's like, what do you demand out of me following? Just accepting them? No, we want you to change everything that you do. Everything that you do has to be completely changed. You want to follow? Yeah."
Or at least change the quality of it, right?
We're not just saying, hey, just believe in it. Okay, I believe in snake people. I believe in a blue cowherd boy god. No, we're saying change your lifestyle. Wake up early, meditate, change your diet, change your concept of recreation, change your clothes sometimes,
Change what you think is possible for reptiles.
Yeah, welcome reptiles into your life. They're people. Yeah. There can be people too.
Okay, who else is coming to the party here?
What's that called in Star Wars? The bar scene? Someone knows. I don't know. Someone put
Okay.
on the board. The cantina, is that it, Achuta? I don't know.
Who else
Okay.
came, brother? Let's continue. The Manus.
The Manus. Where are we, Mayor? Points, please.
After
Thank you.
snakes.
The Manus approached.
Who are the Manus?
The Manus are the lawmakers of mankind. They're the original mankind, where we get the word man from. The Manus.
There's, I think, within the day of Brahma, which is, hard for us to understand how long it is. There's 14 Manus, I believe. 14 different.
I didn't think they all came at once.
What do they call it? Like administrations, I
Governing
don't know if they
body.
How did they all come at once, you're saying?
I didn't know they were all together. I thought it was a post and one Manu at a time. But
Yeah, it is a post. So I don't know exactly what that means when it says the Manus approached. Like maybe it's just like different president, like at an event, you may get 4 different presidents, like the current president and like 3 ex-presidents or something like that. Maybe
right,
like that.
Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln, Adams, they all show up to just greet you.
Well, they're all dead. But
Well,
I'm
the
saying,
Manus,
like,
I guess they don't
maybe
die.
maybe like Obama.
That's what I thought. I thought the Manus
Trump,
died and
Biden.
switched places too. The Manus approach, and so did the chiefs of various other planets. Isn't it interesting to think that there's a chief of this planet and we don't
Every
even know who it
planet
is? We don't even know who it is. We think it's like
Well, there's Mother Earth.
I understand. And
Right.
I understand there's a chief, but I'm just saying we don't no world leader is recognizing the chief of this planet. They all think they're the chiefs of this planet.
Maybe Modi does.
Modi does. I think he does recognize the chief of the planet.
Who else came?
Don't let our political leanings be revealed. The Manus approached, and so did the chiefs of various other planets. The angelic dancers approached, as did the Gandharvas, the Charanas, the Yakshas, the inhabitants of Kinara Loka.
Are they kind of bird-like? Is that right?
Kinaras are the bird people.
Yeah.
You thought the reptile people were weird? Some people are, after I said reptile snake people, you guys are like, unfollow. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard you guys on Rich Roll talk about controlling your senses and athleticism, and now you're talking about bird and reptile people.
Well, imagine
Give
this.
it a
just
chance.
give it a chance. That's the point. If
I've met
anything
people
could
that
happen,
look like birds. Haven't you?
if there's God, right? And then everybody's coming to when everyone comes to like connect with him and glorify him, it's going to be the best music. It's going to be the most profound prayers. It's going to be the most far out scene. And isn't it more far out if snake people and bird people arrive?
Why not?
Just
Isn't
that
that
one
we've
level
never
up?
met a snake person doesn't mean they can't exist. We haven't seen a lot in this world. We live in it's almost like living it's like living under your bed and trying to understand what a wolf is or what a peacock is, what a quetzal is. Right. You can't live we live in a tiny little place in this universe.
Okay. So the bird people came. Who else?
We're trying to rationalize bird people here. The Vitalas. Mara, can you look up a Vitala? The inhabitants.
I got it.
Oh, you know this already.
Hold on. Where are you?
You're on it.
The Vaitala is an evil spirit who haunts cemeteries and takes demonic possession of corpses.
And we believe in ghosts. And we believe in ghosts. They showed up.
Oh, did they take demonic possession? Oh, corpses. So it's like these. That's more like
a zombie.
Like a zombie or.
Is that a zombie?
School of some kind. Yeah.
Read that one more time because I was just like.
It's an evil spirit who haunts cemeteries and takes demonic possession of corpses. They make their displeasure known by troubling humans. They can drive people mad, kill children, and cause miscarriages, but they also guard villages.
Back to the Amityville Horror.
So they're hostile spirits.
I mean, I would want one of those guys guarding my village. Nobody's going to mess with your village.
Sounds ferocious.
You got a zombie guarding it.
Oh, God.
All right. So all kinds of people.
Completely sidetracked. But why would those people come?
Because they all appreciate what just happened. It was so magnificent.
Okay. Even like
everybody's got to be like
haunting spirits were like, you know what? That was pretty impressive. I'm a ghoul. But that was pretty impressive. All of them came near the Lord who glowed with intense light. Or maybe they just
hold on. You missed the personal.
Maybe they came out of fear.
Did you get the personal servants of Vishnu? Did you get that?
And also the personal servants of Vishnu, like Sunanda and Kumuda.
So those are four-handed Vishnu-like beings, like they look like Vishnu.
They look like Vishnu. Isn't that crazy? If you go to Vaikuntha, you take on a body that looks like Vishnu.
So you're going from like over standing next to the snake person is the bird person is the zombie, and then there's like these Vishnu formed people. Then there's these beautiful dancers, and then
You know what's interesting?
this makes the Met
sometimes
Gala look pale, Raghunath.
This makes the Met. And Lady Gaga showed up. Oh yeah, the zombies showed up, and the reptile bird people showed
and the
up.
Vishnu characters. The bird person is talking.
Okay.
Would you like to work the red carpet at this? Raghunath to be like interviewing for
The paparazzi.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta pull it back, Asuba.
Pull it back.
All of them came near the Lord, who glowed with intense light. They individually offered their obeisances and prayers, their hands folded at their heads.
Okay, why don't we pick up here tomorrow? Because now the prayers, Brahma's going to say a prayer, Shiva's going to say a prayer, Indra's going to say a prayer, then all the saintly persons together are going to start to speak. The inhabitants of Pitri Loka, Siddha Loka, Vidyadhara Loka, Naga Loka. The snakes are going to have something to say. The Manus, the Prajapatis, the progenitors will be there. The Gandharvas are going to pray. The Charnas, Yakshas are going to pray.
Wouldn't it be great to have a bird person on a interview day?
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't you like to be on the red carpet and like put the microphone and
no, I'd like to get them on the podcast. Get them on the
Well,
podcast.
If you
Let's
can
get the zombie on
this Sunday,
don't miss
we
it.
have a panel, a zombie, a bird person, and one of the Vishnu people.
And they just landed in their airplane on the front lawn. Okay.
So they're all going to have something to say.
Mara, I'm gonna have a day today outside in the garden. I'm gonna neglect every other important duty I have that's on my list and just go into the garden today. I'm gonna mow things, plow things, dig holes.
You want some takeaways for
And I would like a takeaway in case I come across any roots or stumps I have to deal with. Please help me.
Or ghosts.
You're not worried about roots and stumps. You're worried about zombies and ghouls. Just tell the truth.
Imagine. You know what I did today? I thought, oh, you know what? Some algorithm of caves found me. And I was like, yeah, caves. This would be great to find a page dedicated to cave exploring. I was like, yes, it would be. So I followed that thing, and then I started searching them. But it all had the cave exploring with like evil music behind it, like. I was like, this isn't cave exploring. This is like scary stuff in caves, which is also I unfollowed immediately.
Okay, well done. Change that algorithm, Roga.
Change it.
Change it.
Well, I thought it was a healthy algorithm, mystery, caves.
And then you found out it wasn't, and you flipped it.
No, it was like people getting caught in caves, trapped in caves, horrible things that have happened in caves.
All right, takeaways.
Yes. Yeah. Please.
Krishna gets lost in his own play.
He does.
Lost in play. We're lost in play. We're an emo band.
Oh, that's a pretty good name.
Lost in play. It is a good name.
Be thoughtful and relish Bhagavatam.
Be thoughtful.
We're relish from Poughkeepsie.
When we get to our real selves, we can exchange love.
That was like a 90s band name, Relish, wasn't it? It's like alternative rock. Okay.
Can I move ahead while leaving my ego behind?
I thought you were asking Rogo if you could move ahead with.
Yes, you can, Mara.
Say that again. Can I move ahead?
Can I move ahead while leaving my ego behind?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you may.
Selfishness warps love.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
We're practicing to fall in love out of this world.
Fall in love out of
Keep
this.
practicing. Might have to play a long time.
Could play a long time.
Change your algorithms.
Or maybe a short time. Maybe you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. Sometimes. What did Miles have to say? Did he say sometimes or all the time? I think he said sometimes.
Sometimes, right?
Sometimes you have to play a long time to be able to play like yourself.
And
Sometimes you have to practice bhakti a long time.
You could have been practicing bhakti for lifetimes. And now you're just like easing back into where you belong.
And a long time is relative too, right? Even
Sure.
lifetimes can be seen as short.
Let the ego shatter to get close to God.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Change your algorithm.
Change it.
And
This better be good, Mara.
reptiles can be people-y too.
They can. They can be. They can be. What do they eat, reptile people? Are they vegetarian? Probably
I
not.
doubt it.
They're probably not. It's probably
Bugs.
within their dharma not to be. They probably... Bird people are, though. The bird people
They eat
they're
seeds?
just basically they eat a lot of seeds.
No, they don't eat bugs.
No, these ones don't. The bird people don't.
Garuda
Thanks
eats
everybody
snakes.
for joining us. Thanks for everybody for joining us. Remember, going to Italy. Join us in Italy. wisdomsages.com/events. We also have an event up here, and Mika, Stuba, and Mara are heading out to India. Join us on our pilgrimage this October if you want to go to India with the crew. Fun. Holy places, holy people, holy rivers, holy temples. Lori Pack and the Chief are coming. They're fun. Bob Healy.
Are any
is
bird
coming.
people coming?
Bird people might come. Imagine I got a room with that bird guy. Always making
Making a mess.
always making a mess everywhere. Lori, we got you. Lori, we have you rooming with the reptile lady. I hope that's okay with you.
I've never stayed with a snake before.
Your tail is on my side of the bed.
Oh, I've got some news for you, Raghunath, about apnea, sleep apnea.
Oh, tell me.
This is from Dr. T.
Are you insinuating that I have sleep apnea?
I thought you said you did.
Is it official that I do? I can't remember. They say everybody does. Okay,
Really?
go ahead. Tell us.
Well, there's two causes. One is being overweight, and one is like, and the solution to that is losing weight. And the other is that you need a small operation because it's whatever kind of tissue or
something with
like
your tongue.
that. Yeah, the throat,
They
or
have different
nasal
things
things.
to deal with it. Oh man, Nityananda Chandra put a picture up on the message board with him and Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. It looks like he's holding various transcendental literature. Nityananda Chandra, this guy always amazes me. Look, see Shastri's baby's clapping. This special birth. Special birth to be hearing the Bhagavatam in the morning. My son Rocco's got his friend over, staying over, who is a third generation.
A what?
Third generation.
I thought you said he's a bird generation.
Oh, he's a bird. He's a bird human. He's a bird like. It was a third generation. It was a reptile. It was a mixed marriage. It was like a reptile married into the bird dynasty. They had kids and they married over to the Siddha locus. It's like a perfected bird reptile child. I tell you, if you lead with this, you're either going to drive people away, or you're going to
You'll get a cult.
different
It's called a cult
demographic.
following.
Yeah, you could have a whole cult. You know what? I should have led with this during the tinfoil hat podcast. That's what it should have went.
I'm telling you.
I'm just going to tell you guys from the get-go. We believe in bird people, like little hands that have wings attached to the arms. Little hands though. You can with thumbs that can move, that can open up a bottle from a bottle cap, but they also have wings.
Imagine
Don't
if
let this
like,
stuff scare you off, people. We don't know what's out there.
Imagine one day, Raghunath, just one of these flower airplanes kind of lands in front of you and says, "Raghunath, we're taking you back, taking to,
I was
to
like,
the
"Thank
spiritual
you."
realm." You'd be like, "Great," but they said, "But we're going to stop off on every planet and introduce you to the different people. You're going to meet the snake people. You're going to meet the bird people. You're going to have
Each
a chance
one
to-
is going to offer me. You know the story of Jesus where the devil takes him to the high mountain?
temptation.
Says, "What would you like? You can have it all. You see all these wealthy cities." That's what's going to happen on that flower airplane. They're like, "You want to be with the snakes?" And the snakes are like, "Come on, join us. It's really fun here."
It
The
kind
bird
of
people are-
happens in Brihad Bhagavatamrita as Gopkumar is ascending. Every
Hey, you wanna
planet,
hang
it's
out?
not even like they're trying to trick him or anything. It's just kind of like, everything's
Just
great
better.
here. Don't you want to be
Better.
here?
Why would you want to leave here?
Yeah.
What do you
Like
think
when he
about
gets
this
to Vaikuntha,
gentleman?
they're saying, "Come on, man, you could get one of these four-handed forms. It's here for you." Like,
Linda,
no,
unmute, please. I'm asking Linda to unmute. One of you.
Yes.
Linda, what do you're a rational professional woman. What do you think about snake people?
I think anything's possible.
We're going to end with that. Thank you, everybody.
We got a rational
Beautiful day.
person.
Today is going to be a beautiful day.